Indra froze for several seconds, seemingly unable to believe his eyes. But soon, he shot up from the sofa and strode swiftly to the box. What is this? Where's the core of that mechanical life form? A dark, vicious aura spread through Emperor Indra's eyes. The atmosphere was unbearably oppressive. Everyone sensed that Emperor Indra was on the brink of explosion. After enduring unimaginable hardships to obtain this object, it had vanished like this. The three mutants tasked with protecting the energy core felt their blood run cold. Heavenly Emperor! We never left this box's side. Not for a single moment. Fearless Sky's voice trembled. To safeguard this vital object, he hadn't even gone to the bathroom once during the entire journey. Fearless Sky added, I swear by the Trimurti. My eyes never left it for a single moment. Refusing to accept defeat, Emperor Indra reached into the box and pulled out the mechanical life form, examining it closely. But no matter how he scrutinized it, it refused to transform back into that spherical energy core. His suspicious gaze swept over every person present. Fearless Sky and the others felt as if death itself was upon them, their hearts filled with utter despair. The three knelt before Emperor Indra, swearing oaths to the heavens, pleading their loyalty. Fury burned like wildfire within Emperor Indra, yet he did not erupt like a madman. As the prophet of Brahma, the mightiest of the mutants, he maintained a core of composure even amidst the most dire circumstances. Indra's gaze fixed upon the three before him. The ability of the time prelude activated. With a fleeting glance, he witnessed the events that had unfolded in their lives over the past period. Yet his ability had a flaw. The time prelude could span vast temporal arcs. For instance, he could instantly peer into a person's entire life, reading their life experiences like a passing slideshow. To his eyes, each person's past was a book of biographical entries. However, he could not discern events occurring at specific, granular moments. Compared to Zhang Yi's the second hand of time ability, which focused on mere seconds, theirs operated on entirely different temporal scales. A cursory glance couldn't reveal everything, but he could confirm these three hadn't betrayed him. They were his most loyal subordinates. Any such betrayal would have been premeditated. Yet within the timeline's curve, he saw no signs of it. It wasn't you. Emperor Indra spoke calmly. Now, carefully recall everything that happened along the way. Think hard, was there a moment when any of you let your guard down? Emperor Indra sat back on the sofa, regaining his usual composure, yet beneath his calm exterior, an icy chill was undeniable. The Fearless Sky trio exchanged glances. No matter how hard they strained their memories, they couldn't recall such a moment. With three of them guarding it, even if one temporarily stepped away, the other two could still watch over it. Even if they blinked, it was impossible for all three to do so simultaneously. Emperor Indra showed no panic. Instead, he propped his chin with one hand and began to ponder. The deed was done, panic served no purpose. The crucial task now was to uncover who had stolen it. With sufficient evidence to identify the culprit, he could reclaim the item. Among the celestial beings, a female mutant spoke up, Celestial Emperor, I have a theory. Emperor Indra lifted his gaze. The speaker bore the codename Vice-Ravana. Share your perspective. Vice-Ravana cautiously scanned the surroundings before lowering her voice. This matter. Suspects may exist within our own ranks. Brahma was a coalition, while the 8 Tribes Heavenly Dragon was the collective term for the various immortal mutant factions within each alliance. The relationships between these factions mirrored those of the 5 major regions of Huashu Kingdom. Their mutual relations were not necessarily harmonious. For instance, Azura, who arrived this time, was a direct rival of Indra. As for Gao Changkong, he was an outsider mercenary. Indra pondered briefly before murmuring, Azura? That fellow may be arrogant, but he wouldn't joke about something like this. If he were truly behind it, he couldn't have concealed it from me. So it couldn't be him. As for Garuda. He hesitated only briefly before dismissing the thought with a scoff. Even less likely. Before his subordinates could question him, Emperor Indra settled into the sofa and declared with certainty, he's an exceptionally clever man. He wouldn't risk so much for something whose purpose remains unclear. Despite his words, he ordered his men, summon all members of the Garuda tribe and Azura tribe here. He must test everyone with his own abilities. Soon after, Gao Changkong and Azura arrived with their subordinates. Emperor Indra's gaze fell upon them, golden halos swirling within his pupils. Gao Changkong and Azura both paled. They knew Emperor Indra had used his abilities on them. This displeased them greatly, but against such an intrusive power that required no permission, they were utterly powerless. After examining everyone, Emperor Indra's expression showed a hint of fatigue, yet he nodded with satisfaction. Emperor Indra, what do you mean by doing this? Azura's tone carried a hint of anger. Emperor Indra's gaze remained calm as he looked at Azura and revealed the loss of the super-large mechanical lifeform's core. Everyone was startled, then instantly understood the reason behind Emperor Indra's actions. Who could have stolen that thing without any of us noticing? Azura's eyes flashed with icy murderous intent. This was a provocation against all of Brahma. He could never tolerate it. Gao Changkong frowned deeply and spoke slowly. If it was lost en route, there are only two possibilities. Either the opponent possesses power vastly exceeding ours, or they wield an utterly bizarre ability, capable of stealing the object right under all our noses. Fearless Sky frowned in confusion. But the three of us never took our eyes off it after it was placed in the box. What kind of bizarre ability could possibly achieve that? Gao Changkong chuckled. Perhaps some sort of spatial object displacement ability. But to pull that off on a high-speed train? It would be incredibly difficult for the perpetrator to remain undetected. After hearing Gao Changkong's words, Emperor Indra lowered his gaze and thought for a moment before fixing him with a stare. You seem to have something else to say, correct? Gao Changkong smiled faintly. Not exactly. It's just that I don't believe anyone could have taken something from the path we came without a trace. Unfortunately, his ability to project reincarnation theory could only foresee the future, not retrace the past. Otherwise, he might have used it to see what had transpired. Emperor Indra smiled. Garuda, in my presence, speak your mind freely. Gao Changkong met everyone's gaze with a profound smile as he spoke. I wonder if you've forgotten that for a time, our attention wasn't entirely focused on that chest. Fearless Sky listened to Gao Changkong's words while deep in thought. Suddenly, he looked up and said, You mean after we arrived in Samaran City? Ever since the battle against the Mechanical Legion, everyone's nerves had been stretched taut. But upon reaching Samaran City, they subconsciously relaxed a bit. After all, within the human encampment, the risk of attack should be eliminated. At that time, Fremon's mutants came to receive them, and everyone's attention shifted to the mutants led by Perdaja. Only then did their vigilance toward the crate wane. Gao Changkong cleared his throat. This is merely my conjecture. If there was ever a moment along our journey when the crate could have been tampered with, it would be highly likely upon our arrival in this city. Moreover, he turned to Emperor Indra, the Fremons show considerable interest in the crate's contents, don't they? A murmur rippled through the room. Shock and anger flashed in every pair of eyes. Gao Changkong's analysis was undeniably logical. Samaran City was Fremon's territory. Moreover, the city concentrated the strongest individuals from across Fremons. Among them could be a special-powered mutant capable of stealing the energy core undetected. It was entirely possible. Did the Fremons do it? This can't be. We came here to help them. If they really did this, wouldn't that be too much? That's hard to say. The Fremons' way of doing things defies conventional logic. Whispers rippled through the crowd as they cautiously glanced at Emperor Indra's expression. His face remained impassive, a skill honed by his position as a leader in concealing true emotions. Yet Gao Changkong's words had indeed planted deep doubt within him. Because this was indeed a very real possibility. But would the Fremons truly dare, at this critical moment, to steal the spoils of the reinforcements? Garuda, your suggestion is intriguing. Beyond this possibility, do you have any other thoughts to share? Emperor Indra inquired. Gao Changkong shook his head. Other possibilities are beyond my comprehension. For instance, could it be that the mechanical civilization used some special, powerful ability to steal the items? But we haven't heard of any energy cores captured from Fremons or chaos being lost. At the mention of chaos, Emperor Indra's brow furrowed involuntarily. Currently, the forces within Fremon's territory include not only Fremon's troops but also Chaos's team. Could this matter be connected to him? Gao Changkong had his own suspicions. After all, given Zhang Yi's treacherous nature, nothing he did would surprise anyone. Still, he wouldn't need to be so devoted to Brahma. After all, even if that energy core fell into Emperor Indra's hands, the ultimate benefit wouldn't concern him. No need to antagonize Zhang Yi over it. Nevertheless, he kindly suggested, we can investigate the distance between the Chaos team and our location at the time. If they were nearby, they would indeed be suspects. Emperor Indra pondered for a long while. He dismissed the others, remaining alone in the living room, chin resting in his hands as he deepened thought. After a considerable time, he rose to his feet, determined to seek out Prodaja and clarify the matter. The most troublesome aspect was that he had no clue when the item had actually been stolen, nor did he possess any leads. There was only one option: bring it out into the open. After all, they had come to aid Fremons against their enemies. Fremons had to take their concerns seriously, otherwise, it would only solidify the suspicion that they were the culprits. Thus, Emperor Indra went directly to Prodaja and laid out the matter of the stolen energy core without beating around the bush. Prodaja's eyes widened at the news. What? How could this happen? Amidst his shock, suspicion began to take root. The Brahma unit of mutants was exceptionally powerful, capable of taking on an entire mechanized force single-handedly. Stealing such a valuable item silently right under their noses was highly improbable. Thus, Prodaja couldn't help but suspect whether Emperor Indra was simply unwilling to share the energy core for joint research. He had fabricated this excuse to shake off Fremon's persistence. Prodaja smiled warmly at Emperor Indra, speaking in a tone of sincerity. That such an incident occurred on Fremon's territory is utterly intolerable. Whoever could have stolen that energy core right under the noses of the world-renowned Brahma 8 tribes, if such a person truly exists, they must be an extraordinary being. Emperor Indra wasn't a fool. He immediately realized that Prodaja was also suspecting him. He snorted coldly, his gaze burning as he fixed it on Prodaja, his own suspicions deepening. Could it be that the Fremons were truly crying wolf? Fremons is now a gathering place for the world's major powers and organizations. It's a den of hidden talents, teeming with countless mutants possessing formidable abilities. Even we, the Brahma, cannot guarantee we are completely immune to influence. Mr. Prodaja, we came here to support you. Now that a problem has arisen, you won't just walk away, will you? Mutual suspicion lingered in their gazes, each carrying subtle meaning, yet neither dared to openly confront the other at this critical juncture. Prodaja declared, "Of course. We will thoroughly investigate this matter. We will provide you with a satisfactory explanation." Emperor Indra countered, "The perpetrator executed this flawlessly, leaving almost no trace. But I can confirm it was the work of a high-level space ability mutant. Therefore, I need your assistance with something." Prodaja inquired, "What is it?" Emperor Indra replied, "I require the exact travel route of the Chaos team during the period after our arrival in Fremons but before reaching Samaran City." A flicker of surprise crossed Prodaja's eyes. "Are you suspecting the Chaos faction of stealing your energy cores?" Emperor Indra nodded. "As the world's foremost space ability user, I have ample reason to suspect them. Whether they were involved can be easily determined by retrieving their movement logs. This shouldn't be difficult for you." Indeed, it was no difficult task. Prodaja pondered internally. Was this a case of the Brahma mutants crying thief, or had Chaos's people genuinely stolen something? Fundamentally, however, mutual trust between the two sides remained elusive. Both the Fremons and the Brahma carried reputations for questionable credibility. Still, Prabaja agreed to help Emperor Indra retrieve Zhang Yi's team's travel route. After all, tracking such a large convoy traversing Fremons was no difficult task. Ever since Zhang Yi's group defeated that mechanical legion not long ago, Prabaja had assigned his intelligence unit to closely monitor their movements. Soon, a data file was transmitted from the intelligence unit directly into Prabaja's hands. He unfolded the data right in front of Emperor Indra. On the map of Fremons, two distinct routes, one red, one blue, clearly unfolded before them. The red line traced the path of the Brahmin train, while the blue marked Zhang Yi's team. Emperor Indra studied the two trajectories closely, noting they were entirely separate and had never overlapped. This came as no surprise, since they hadn't encountered each other on the road. Prabaja rested his chin on his hand, studying the data map. He pointed at it and remarked, "It appears you never made contact. The two routes are entirely separate." Even at their closest points, they were separated by over 100 kilometers. Emperor Indra's brow furrowed sharply. That period coincided precisely with our war against the Mechanical Legion. Meaning they knew we were engaged in combat with the Mechanical Legion. Prabaja countered, "That proves nothing. A conflict of that scale, even hundreds of kilometers away, would be detectable by any fully operational reconnaissance system." He zoomed in on Zhang Yi's team's route. Moreover, they lingered in that vicinity for less than 2 minutes. The timing was shortly after you concluded your battle. Prabaja shot a glance at Emperor Indra. He couldn't have snatched it right under your nose, could he? The implication hung heavy in the air. As fellow bishop-level beings, if Zhang Yi possessed such capability, wouldn't that mean he could silently assassinate Emperor Indra? Prabaja was nearly 50% certain that Indra was simply refusing to share the energy core and had concocted this excuse. Otherwise, how could something so crucial vanish without a trace? Not even a shred of evidence remained. Emperor Indra's brow furrowed even deeper. He knew Zhang Yi's abilities well. Zhang Yi's space ability primarily centered on opening dimensional gates around himself to absorb objects or deflect attacks. But infiltrating the train would inevitably expose his presence. Moreover, the closest distance between them was over 100 kilometers. It was inconceivable that anyone could remotely extract the origin of a colossal mechanical life form from such a distance and then implant a discarded mechanical life form in its place. Emperor Indra felt his head spinning. Could it be? A mole had infiltrated his inner circle? Azura and Gao Changkong seemed unlikely suspects, but they couldn't be entirely ruled out. No! It couldn't be that. Pressing his temples, Emperor Indra fixed a piercing gaze on Prabaja. His conviction hardened, this theft was undoubtedly linked to the Fremons. Considering all circumstances, the timing of the theft coincided perfectly with their arrival in Samaran City. At that moment, the Fremons' special forces were less than 5 meters away. It was highly probable that someone within the welcoming contingent, possessing space displacement abilities, had carried out the theft. The more Emperor Indra thought about it, the more furious he became. He fixed his gaze on Prabaja, his tone turning icy. "Mr. Prabaja, regardless of the circumstances, the items were lost while in your possession. I expect a reasonable explanation. Don't make us feel disheartened after traveling all this way to assist you." Prabaja froze for a moment, then his anger flared. "You're the one being stingy, refusing to share the item for collective research, and now you're pinning it on us? Fremons only possesses one energy core. What, you expect us to hand it over to you? We will investigate this matter thoroughly. However, Lord Indra, I also urge you to reflect upon whether internal issues might be at play." He spread his hands. "After all, if there truly exists a mutant capable of operating undetected among you, one who could steal an energy core without leaving a trace, then even we Fremons would struggle to deal with him." Prabaja's words carried a hidden edge of scorn. He was essentially saying, "You're the one putting on a show here, what are you trying to pull? Who would believe that a world-renowned Grand Prophet, a bishop-level powerhouse, could be played like a puppet? Not long ago, they dispatched an engineering unit to recover the mechanical life forms, only to return empty-handed. Pradaja had pinned the blame squarely on the Brahma, convinced they'd been duped. He still hadn't gotten over his anger about it. The two men stared at each other, their eyes brimming with intense suspicion, undersea currents churning beneath the surface. Each was convinced the other was responsible. Emperor Indra raised his lips, revealing stark white teeth. Very well. We will conduct our own internal investigation. Whoever dared steal our spoils, once I find them, it won't end so easily. With that, Emperor Indra swept his sleeve and strode away. He was furious, vowing to track down the thief who had stolen the energy core. At that very moment, an aide arrived to report to Pradaja that the chaos from Huashu Kingdom had also reached Samaran City. Pradaja narrowed his eyes slightly. His impression of Zhang Yi wasn't particularly favorable, but it wasn't exactly negative either. The world of children divides things into good and bad. The world of adults divides friends and enemies based on interests. Therefore, even though Zhang Yi had previously snubbed him, the arrival of such a powerful mutant would become a formidable asset to them, the Fremons. Pradaja still put on a smile and personally went to welcome him. Mr. Chaos, whenever you're in Samaran City, it's either windy or snowing. I've finally caught up with you. Pradaja approached with a cheerful smile, greeting Zhang Yi as he stepped off the snowmobile. Zhang Yi remained secretly vigilant. Having just outmaneuvered Brahma, he deliberately took a detour, arriving in Samaran City long after them. Naturally, he had to be cautious about whether they'd caught on to his scheme. Seeing Pradaja, he smiled. First time in Fremons. We needed to gather intel on mechanical civilization activities, so we couldn't resist exploring a bit more. After brief pleasantries, Pradaja inquired about their journey's discoveries. Zhang Yi recounted the essentials, omitting only his theft of the energy core from Brahman, sharing everything else. Pradaja nodded. We've been investigating the mechanical civilization's activities as well. Only by understanding their objectives can we devise countermeasures. Pradaja used the word counter, not defeat. The subtle choice of words hinted at something unusual to Zhang Yi. Have you never considered eliminating them? Zhang Yi looked at Pradaja, asking half-jokingly. Eliminate? A peculiar smile crossed Pradaja's face as he walked, gazing into the distance. Perhaps we'll consider that once reinforcements from all nations arrive. Zhang Yi nodded. Seems they're truly formidable. Suddenly, Pradaja interjected, if we could decipher the source operational principles of those mechanical life forms, their complete annihilation would become far more feasible. I believe you're aware they wield an exceptionally troublesome energy shield. It makes confronting them a real headache for mutants. Zhang Yi nodded. I've seen it firsthand. But doesn't Fremons have formidable firearm? That stuff should still be effective against those tin cans. Pradaja's mouth twitched sharply, as if Zhang Yi had touched on an unpleasant subject. What's wrong? Don't even mention it. In this bitter cold, the combat effectiveness of mechanized forces plummets. After the apocalypse, Fremon's population was already sparse. Trading flesh and blood soldiers for mechanical life forms? It's simply not worth it. Not to mention, their weapons are more advanced than ours. Hearing this, Zhang Yi asked a question that had long puzzled him. I recall Fremons deployed the Reaper of Love. How effective was it? Pradaja's expression darkened further. His military boots halted abruptly. Zhang Yi and Deng Shintong could tell from his grim face that the operation had been a complete failure. It didn't work? Zhang Yi frowned. No, it worked perfectly. But equally, it backfired spectacularly. Pradaja fixed his gaze on Zhang Yi and declared gravely, it was precisely because we deployed the Reaper of Love that it directly led to the fall of Karen City and its surrounding territories. Only after Pradaja's explanation did Zhang Yi grasp why the capital of Fremons had fallen. The Mechanical Legion's operational trajectory had always proceeded with utter disregard for human conventions. Their target was some entity concealed beneath Fremon's ground. Much like humans building houses, they paid no heed to ant nests or insects beneath the earth, merely clearing them away as they went. But if those insects dared to attack humans at this moment, their fate would be to be crushed. Zhang Yi's gaze grew profound. Even the Reaper of Love has no effect on them? It's not a matter of having no effect, Pradaja said gravely. From start to finish, they simply never regarded us as a threat. I even suspect that if the mechanical civilization wanted to destroy Fremons, or even the entire world, it wouldn't be particularly difficult. They simply haven't done so because they're constrained by some unnamed rule. Zhang Yi's mind drifted to the Wulwan Empire. They too possessed weapons surpassing the Reaper of Love, yet refrained from using them during their invasion of the surface. They, too, were wary of something. Zhang Yi and Pradaja walked side by side. He suddenly laughed. Then what's the point of us being here? If they confirmed they could never defeat the mechanical civilization. Pradaja's expression hardened as he declared solemnly, but we must try. Even an ant, when its home is destroyed, will fight back with all its might. If we do nothing, our extinction is truly near. Zhang Yi shrugged, neither confirming nor denying. The full scope of the mechanical civilization remains unknown, there's no need for such pessimism. Then, Pradaja's demeanor shifted abruptly. Chaos, do you understand what I'm saying? Human civilization now stands at a critical juncture of survival. We must unite our efforts to devise a response to the mechanical civilization's invasion. Look, when the Wulwan Empire invaded Huashu Kingdom, we spared no effort to aid you. I'm not demanding you fight the Mechanical Legion to the death. All I ask is that you hand over that energy core from the supersized mechanical life form for our research. Zhang Yi sneered inwardly. All this talk, and they're still after my stuff? He gazed at Pradaja with a smile, his tone utterly sincere. Should we uncover any valuable intelligence during our research on the energy core, we'll certainly share it with Fremons. In terms of technological prowess and military capabilities, the Huashu Kingdom far surpasses your nation. So there's no need to question that. As if Zhang Yi had world-class mechanics by his side. Lu Karen wasn't just top-tier in skill, crucially, she possessed the divine machinist ability, allowing her to effortlessly analyze various materials and mechanical structures. At the current pace, it wouldn't be long before she had the energy core completely figured out. Why would they need Fremon's research department to assist them? Pradaja took a deep breath. That's not necessarily true. We're far ahead of you in acquiring the energy core and researching mechanical life forms. Zhang Yi responded coolly, progress isn't solely determined by starting earlier. It depends on technology. Zhang Yi remained unmoved, leaving Pradaja utterly helpless. But then, a peculiar thought suddenly crossed his mind. He feigned absent-mindedness and brought up the matter of the lost Brahman energy core. Brahma's Emperor Indra thought the same. Guess what happened? Their energy core vanished without a trace. As he spoke, Pradaja fixed his gaze on Zhang Yi's face, seemingly searching for any flicker of surprise. But Zhang Yi had mentally prepared himself before arriving. He displayed just the right amount of astonishment. What? Lost? He smiled broadly. Impossible. Emperor Indra is the strongest in Brahma, and his team must be packed with powerhouses. Stealing from them? Unthinkable. Pradaja continued, true, I also find this suspicious. But there's something I'm unsure whether to mention. Zhang Yi remained silent. Say what you want. Seeing Zhang Yi wasn't taking the bait, Pradaja continued on his own, but this matter involves Lord Chaos. I feel it's best to give you a heads up. He looked at Zhang Yi. Emperor Indra suspects you're involved. Because when they encountered the Mechanical Legion, you were nearby. Is that true, Lord Chaos? Zhang Yi snorted derisively. This is ridiculous. The battle was so loud back then, our detectors picked it up from miles away. I only went to take a look out of curiosity. If they can pin that on me too, it would be utterly ridiculous. Zhang Yi looked at Pradaja with a look of indifference. Don't try to pin every dirty deed on us. And don't make baseless accusations without evidence. He suddenly snorted coldly, his expression tinged with irritation. I, Chaos, have always acted with integrity. I wouldn't stoop to such petty theft. If word got out, wouldn't the whole world laugh at us? Pradaja had already suspected Emperor Indra staged the whole thing. Seeing Zhang Yi's displeasure, he quickly backtracked with a forced laugh. Don't overthink it, sir, I'm just giving you a heads up, watch out for losing things like they did. Pradaja thought to himself, that makes sense. A powerhouse like Chaos wouldn't stoop to such things. He felt a twinge of irritation at Zhang Yi's stubborn refusal to budge. Combined with Zhang Yi's earlier decision to act independently within Fremon's territory without consulting them, the shadow in his eyes deepened. After Zhang Yi's group arrived, Pradaja had a meal prepared for them. However, the host was not Pradaja himself. He excused himself on business and departed early, instead delegating a subordinate official. Zhang Yi merely glanced at the table spread and instantly understood Pradaja's displeasure. Esteemed envoys of Huashu Kingdom, welcome to Fremons. The Fremons official in charge of reception raised a glass of vodka, smiling broadly at Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi slammed his knife and fork onto the table with a loud clatter, then stood up abruptly. I have no appetite today. You may enjoy this meal yourselves. With that, Zhang Yi left the dining hall without a second glance at their bewildered stares. Deng Shintong and the others also wore deeply displeased expressions. The hospitality extended to them was of a very low standard, utterly unfit for Zhang Yi's stature. This was clearly a deliberate move by Pradaja, intended to intimidate Zhang Yi. The situation has changed. Yang Xinshin spoke slowly and deliberately. Yang Xinshin explained, ever since those strange things appeared in the sky, the situation within Fremons has changed dramatically. Right now, no one knows what that mechanical civilization truly wants. But the crisis in Fremons isn't urgent. Especially after they discovered those mechanical life forms are massive treasures. They now see our arrival not just as assistance, but in a sense, as competitors vying for those precious resources. Especially after Brother defeated the Mechanical Legion without letting them gain any advantage. Yang Xinshin shrugged her hands. They've sent invitations to nations and powerful organizations worldwide. As they arrive one after another, they'll become less reliant on our assistance. In fact, with too many competitors, they might even lose their home field advantage. They're counting on us staying put regardless. Pradaja's stance this time is meant to drive that point home, setting us up for deeper concessions later. Fatty Sue couldn't help but blurt out, dang it, so does that mean we'll have to dance to their tune from now on? Zhang Yi walked ahead, narrowing his eyes slightly. No need to rush. The day will come when they'll be the ones panicking. If the mechanical civilization truly only needed to pass through Fremons to search for something underground, that would be one thing. Zhang Yi had gained benefits here, tolerating them for a while wasn't unreasonable, especially since they were on their territory. But who could guarantee the mechanical civilization wouldn't erupt into violent conflict with humanity? No one knew what the future held. He had a strong premonition. The power of the mechanical civilization surpassed that of the Wulwan Empire. And by more than just a little. If conflict erupted, the entire Fremons might truly be doomed. Then, who would be the ones panicking? So, what should we do next? Uncle Yu inquired about Zhang Yi's next course of action. Zhang Yi smiled and snapped his fingers. Next, we do absolutely nothing. What? Nothing? Uncle Yu was baffled. But that means leaving all the good stuff for others. Zhang Yi lifted his head to glance at the sky. Too many things remain unclear right now. Plus, the traces of the mechanical civilization's activities seem to have diminished significantly since those polyhedrons appeared in the sky. Since the Fremons faction is dissatisfied with us acquiring too much spoils in the war against the mechanical civilization, let them deal with their own problems first. Fremons remained decidedly cold toward Zhang Yi's team. Zhang Yi showed no sign of anger, merely committing their opportunistic attitude, using people when convenient and discarding them otherwise, to memory. All paths cross eventually, and the day of reckoning would come sooner or later. Zhang Yi felt no urgency whatsoever. Moreover, he believed that as reinforcements arrived from across the globe, the conflict between the human legions and the mechanical civilization would only intensify. He chose to observe the unfolding situation before making his next move. Fremons played favorites, didn't he do the same? Without tangible benefits, he'd only repay Fremon's previous support to the bare minimum. As always, profit came first. Even between Huashu Kingdom and Fremons, talking about sentimentality was laughable. Let's head back first. These next couple of days, Karen and Xinxin will thoroughly study those artifacts. With that, Zhang Yi turned and extended his hand toward Lu Karen. Lu Karen hurried over to Zhang Yi's side. Zhang Yi asked, regarding those tens of thousands of mechanical life form remains we acquired, is there any way to repair them? Could we transform them into our own mechanical legion? Lu Karen nodded. Absolutely. Their materials are highly advanced, but my abilities can replicate them. However, their core technology is extremely complex. It follows a completely different path from human mechanical engineering. Decoding it will depend on Xinxin. How can I put this? The mechanical language of the mechanical civilization differs from human mechanical language much like Chinese and English. We must first fully decipher it. Zhang Yi asked curiously, can't we just rewrite it using human mechanical language? Yang Xinxin explained, the mechanical language of the mechanical civilization is more advanced and efficient than ours. If we implant our mechanical language, the resulting product might only perform at 1/3 of the original's capability. Zhang Yi couldn't help but exclaim, that's the power of technology. So, can we ensure technological supremacy in this field? To build the mechanical legion before other nations. At this, Lu Karen beamed with pride. Brother, if I'm not mistaken, they're probably struggling just to open the energy core and examine its internal structure. That material is harder than diamond, with no seams whatsoever. Human technology simply cannot open it without causing damage. Fremon's research team used laser swords to forcibly split them open, but this inevitably caused internal damage, severely hindering research efficiency. Moreover, even if they spent immense time and effort deciphering its operational principles, they lacked the technical means to replicate it. Lu Karen was different. Her hands were divine hands. With Tianhai City's population in the tens of thousands, considerations like their food, clothing, shelter, and loyalty were complex. But if mechanical life forms could replace humans, many things would become simpler. Theoretically, yes, brother. Lu Karen affirmed. Good. For now, focus solely on deciphering the secrets of the mechanical life form source. Zhang Yi encouraged Lu Karen. The group arrived at the accommodations arranged for them by Fremons. Zhang Yi withdrew the soldiers stationed here, instead assigning the Volt Shadow Troop to guard the perimeter of the residence. Not long after his arrival, however, someone came looking for him. It was an old acquaintance of Zhang Yi's, Thunder God Pern of the Pantheon, the bearded Alexei Ivanov. He arrived carrying 2 large bottles of vodka, with a bulky package tucked under his arm. Only upon seeing Alexei did Zhang Yi's face break into a genuine smile. Though their time together had been brief, this honest, burly Fremon's man had earned Zhang Yi's respect. A person's actions in the face of moral peril never lie. During the battle against the false Hades gatekeeper, Alexei's willingness to risk his life proved him a man worthy of trust. Later, while recuperating in Blizzard City, Zhang Yi had often visited him. My friends, welcome to Fremons. Alexei declared, swirling his vodka glass before setting the large bundle from under his arm onto the table. Zhang Yi and his companions hadn't eaten yet, so they prepared to have a meal using provisions from their dimensional space. Seeing what Alexei had brought, everyone smiled. It turned out to be several strings of handmade red sausages, each as thick as Alexei's arm. Alexei explained they were handmade by his wife. Zhang Yi and the others didn't stand on ceremony, they sat down together to eat. Having not seen him for some time, Zhang Yi felt Alexei looked more weathered than when he left Huashu Kingdom. Dark circles under his eyes were pronounced, and his face had lost some fullness. It was clear he'd been working tirelessly lately. The group exchanged casual greetings about their recent lives and chatted about family matters. Zhang Yi, of course, was preoccupied with rebuilding Tianhai Fortress. When the conversation turned to Alexei's home, he sighed deeply. Fremons hasn't been peaceful lately. Everyone fears those tin cans might attack. Even my wife, Natasha, keeps waking up in the night, clinging to me and crying. Hearing this, Zhou Kir couldn't help but put down her chopsticks and ask, even with a powerful mutant like you, your wife still feels insecure? She had been with Zhang Yi for 3 years. Over those 3 years, they'd weathered many storms, yet no matter what happened, Zhang Yi always kept them perfectly safe. Alexei was also a Black Chariot level Epsilon mutant, ranking among the world's elite. That's why Zhou Kir found this surprising. Alexei sighed helplessly. You wouldn't understand what happened that day. He recounted the night the Mechanical Legion attacked Karen City. Karen City was the capital of Fremons, the strongest military stronghold in the entire region. Not only did it house one of the world's most elite forces, but it was also guarded by supernatural beings from the Pantheon. Even as other areas became unstable, the higher-ups still concentrated their core forces here to ensure their safety and that of their families. Yet no one could have foreseen that one night, without warning, mechanical lifeforms would surge forth from beneath the earth like a tidal wave. All their advanced instruments and equipment ceased to function. The earth shattered, buildings collapsed. Alexei's home was destroyed. Alexei paused here, then downed another large gulp of vodka. Burp. He belched, looking at Zhang Yi and saying, "You must be extremely careful. Those things are far more formidable than you can imagine. You've only encountered small units. You haven't faced the truly formidable adversaries yet."